and they're in it till the end to win the division because it's NFC South.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the NFC South.
Okay.
Move the chains.
All right, y'all, time to move the chains and talk some sports. It's been a busy stretch for both the Saints and the Pelicans, from the draft to free agency to big coaching search. There's a lot to get into it, and we're going to do that with Juan Kincaid, the sports director at Fox 8 here in New Orleans. Juan, great to have you back for a second time.
Nice to be back. Thank
Appreciate
you very
it. Let's just start with some rapid-fire questions. Rookies most likely to start week 1.
I mean, Jordan Tyson. If your 8th pick overall is not starting, then there's a problem. Because, this one thing I like that this draft class, this front office did is they said we want to address the offense right away to help out our quarterback, Tyler Shough. And with Jordan Tyson, if he is as brilliant and as a pro as he was in college, that'll be fantastic.
Good. With players from the draft and free agency, one position group that still needs help.
Cornerback. You don't know what you have there. Losing Alante Taylor is a big deal.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, you picked up a guy in free agency, but, I think you still need to address that area.
Okay. Give me your bold prediction for minicamp. What's one storyline coming out of it?
That Bryce Lance is a good player, even though he came from an FCS school. He's long, and he's going to be a guy that's going to contribute this year. And we'll see his talent in rookie minicamp.
All right, we'll look for Bryce. Over, under, Saints win total this season?
You've got a last place schedule. I'm going to say they win 8 games. And they're in it till the end to win the division because it's NFC South.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the NFC South.
Okay.
Where a 500 ball will get you where you want to go.
One word to describe the Saints team right now.
Developing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the message coming
Yeah.
out of the front office. You've had a few days to sit on it as far as the overall draft. What's your takeaway? Just how would you describe that?
Well, for me, I think, again, the important thing is they went in with a direction they wanted to go with these draft picks. 5 of the 8 guys were offensive players. 4 of the 8 guys were guys that catch the ball. And so you look at this roster last year, and what they lacked were difference makers in the receiving area outside of Chris Olave. Rashid Shaheed moves on to Seattle. Then you got a bunch of guys you can't even name off the top of your head trying to catch balls from Tyler Shough. And so I think Mickey took a really good approach this year by saying, you know what, we recognize end of the year where we lacked the most, which was offense. We've got to get more pieces around Tyler Shough. And so I love the fact that they took that approach into the draft and went after the players they wanted. So that to me was the best part about the draft. And I like the draft they've gotten this year. They've got guys that can be difference makers right away.
Good. Talk about the running backs. What do you see? What's happening there?
To me, the running back situation will come down to Alvin Kamara's decision on how he sees himself in this offense now. For so many years, he's been the top dog, the lead dog, with everyone else filling in behind him. Now he's being asked to reverse that role and fill in behind Travis Etienne. And then I think they can be a really good 1-2 combination. I think it can be really used very well if they decide to make him a third down back and bring him out of the backfield against linebackers. That's a mismatch for the Saints. He's not breaking off 15, 20-yard runs anymore. Running back, Father Time waits for no one, so he's 30, and running backs go down at that point. Or the conception is that they go down at 30. And so I think he and A-Chain can be a really good 1-2 combination, just like he and Mark Ingram were.
Yeah.
He and Latavius Murray.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You throw the defense off a bit, putting them in there. Like when they would bring Taysom Hill in, the defense all of a sudden had to adjust, and sometimes they didn't know how to adjust.
Yeah, I mean, Taysom was a bit of a different character, so you knew that Taysom could either tuck it and run it, or he could throw the ball as well. But with AK, the advantage that he still has is going one-on-one with a linebacker. I think he beats any linebacker out there because he's just so shifty like that.
Yeah.
And then but the most important thing with this is that he's not being relied on as your first and second down running back to get those tough yards. That's the one thing Taysom would take off his shoulders a little bit, or when Mark Ingram is here, take off his shoulders, those between the tackle runs, between the guard runs, those pounding. So AK didn't have to deal with that anymore with A-Chain in there. So I think this could be a win-win for the Saints. But again, it goes back to will Kamara be okay in the new role the Saints are asking him to do?
Very good.
And I'm also not of the disbelief that the Saints aren't trying to shop him. I mean, he's got a year left on his contract. I mean, I think he would be a valuable piece for some other team out there. What compensation would you get in return? Probably no more higher than a 5th-round pick because he's on the back end of his career. So I'm not so convinced the Saints aren't trying to shop him to see what else they can get out there.
Good. Are you excited about the Hall of Fame coming up?
I'm stoked. I'm stoked. Going up for that. I can't wait. Last time I was there was when Ricky Jackson was going in, and I got a chance to tour the Pro Football Hall of Fame facility just a little bit.
The museum
Not enough
itself.
to just say I have like all these memories, but I want to go back up and kind of walk through it for a couple hours and just see it. And
Yeah.
you know, it's a special place. It really is. I mean that, and I haven't been to the Hall of Fame in New York, the Baseball Hall of Fame. I want to do that one as well. So I'm a bit of a history buff when it comes to stuff like that. So
Well, it's going to be exciting for
I'm looking
everybody.
forward to it. Yeah,
it's
it's
gonna be
special.
terrific.
It really is.
Let's switch gears to the New Orleans Pelicans.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the head coaching search right now?
Well, I mean, I think they've interviewed some guys that you either have their pluses and minuses about all guys. Rajon Rondo appears to be the favorite for all the fans, and who knows what the front office is thinking, but you don't bring a guy in to interview them with no head coaching experience unless you're really interested in that player. Obviously, was a really good basketball player, floor general, and you could see that in his play. When he played with the Pelicans, one of the only 2 times they won a playoff series. And so he led that team then.
Yeah.
I think he'd be an interesting hire because I go back to Willie Green. I really liked Willie, but I said 3 years ago, Willie, to me, had taken them as far as he could take them for a guy that's never been a head coach before. You only have so many plays you can draw up. And it started to show that, okay, what Willie was saying was falling on deaf ears with the players because they were realizing we're getting to a certain point, we're hitting a wall, and we're done. I wonder if that happens with Rondo. I mean, it's easy to couch coach. You know, oh, he should have done this, should have done that. If I had been in that situation, I would have done this. But once you're in the situation, how are you going to handle late game situations? So you won't know that with Rondo. He will obviously draw from a lot of his situational basketball knowledge, having played the game. But being the coach is a lot different than playing the game. So we'll see what happens with Darvin Ham, another guy that's interviewed for the job. I don't know. I mean, I personally like Borrego. I do like James Borrego. I think if you give him a full season starting training camp, let him go for it. I think he has success with this basketball team. I think they trust him. I think he's honest with them about where they need to be better. Doesn't sugarcoat. But I just think this team, it doesn't really matter who you have as a head coach. They need a better roster build. There's the talent on that team. There's talent, yes, but it's not top 10 talent in terms of when you bring the team together. They're not one of the best teams in the NBA in the Western Conference, you've got to get better development out of Zion. He's got to give you more than just putting his head down, getting to the basket. I mean, there's so many things that aren't right with this basketball team that a simple head coach will help, but he won't fix the problems of this basketball team. They need a roster change up a little bit, in my opinion.
So the new coach, whoever that person is, needs to be a technician as well as sort of an inspirer. I mean, he needs to get the team working together.
Yeah, I mean, I think every coach needs to be able to inspire his players. But I also think, even more important than that, they need to be a good X's and O's coach, because I think this team, where it's lacked is, again, I go back to Willie Green. There were times where he just did not draw up the right play. It's not going to happen every time, but the X's and O's part of it, it's tough. It's challenging. You're facing some good teams in the West. Man for man, the Pelicans have a lot of talent compared to these other teams, but I just think their roster, the way it's fixed, I think they need bigger size down. They need more shooting. You can't live on 2-point buckets and hoping that a couple guys can knock some threes down. Well, you got to be more of a 3-point shooting team. And while they've tried to do that with Willie, getting 40, 50 3-points up a game, they're only making about 20% of them. So I just think the roster, the way it sits right now, it needs to be improved. Some pieces here and there. And I think once that happens, you'll start to see this team blossom a little bit, no matter who the head coach is.
Good. Anything on the college scene that you can hit us with? How you think
Well,
Tulane and LSU going to do?
Well, LSU baseball just won to sweep their first SEC opponent all year long.
I saw that.
So that's a positive. I think Tulane's
Gamecocks.
Yes, yeah, Gamecocks. So I don't know if it's obviously a good thing that LSU swept and got a little confidence back. But it just tells you how bad South Carolina is. They fired Paul Maneri early in the year. They just weren't a very good baseball team, and you got 2 more series left against Georgia and Florida.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna win, baseball is a funny thing because it's about confidence and momentum. And if you can strike while the iron's hot at one time, you can go all the way through. We've seen Tulane make the NCAA tournament with 2 of the last 3 years because they won their conference tournament. They got hot. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made it. So it is about getting hot at the right time of the season. Yeah. So I don't know if Tulane's going to do it this year. They're struggling.
You want to project into football season for LSU and Tulane?
I think Tulane's going to struggle. I said this.
New coach,
who hasn't really proven he can win. Didn't win much at Southern Miss. Won 1 season. The rest of that was just not very good. I think I've been saying Tulane's going to take a step back. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to ride this momentum from Willie Fritz to John Summerall. It's not going to stay up there. And I look at the player personnel they brought in. I mean, you've got 5, 6 guys competing at quarterback. I'm just like, come on, it's not going to end well. And I'm not a big believer in Coach Hall, based on what he's done as a head coach in previous places like Southern Miss. So I think they'll drop back to about 8 wins, which once upon a time, 8 wins was fantastic for Tulane. Go back to the Chris Selfo eras. I think LSU wins 9 games and they scratch their way into the college football playoff. Because, man, if you don't, my gosh, you spent $40 million on a roster that did exactly the same thing that the previous coach's roster did, which is didn't make the college football playoff. So we'll see.
All right, we're going to have you back as we get closer to the season.
I'm surrounded by LSU grads in my office, and I'm the one
reminding them
that, y'all keep saying this every year,
All right. Well, you're always very honest and straightforward, and we appreciate that.
I try to be.
Thank you so very much. Hey, y'all, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and turn on your notifications. Please follow us. We've got new shows each and every week. And a very, very special thanks to all of our sponsors who are making this possible. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.